What's up, guys? This is building a stock market tracker with react.js part 9. So in the last video we got this working on the right side here, sort of, with the caveat that it's quite slow and it has some problems. So let me actually just refresh this whole thing and see if I can show you what I'm talking about. So you see how this comes in pretty slow, and sometimes we don't actually get the price, and it's showing a minus 100% here. So we're not going to fix all of this in this video. I'm going to try to keep this one a little bit shorter than the last one. What I am going to try to fix is the speed at which this is happening. So let's go ahead and do a couple of things here. So first of all, in the last video, if you watched all the way to the end, I pointed out that what we need to do is, instead of calling get last trading date every time we get a closing price, so that would be every time we load one of these rows. So on this right now we're calling get last trading date 5 times. We just need to call that once, and I don't even want to query get yesterday's close until that's ran. And so how can we go about doing that? So first of all, let's go ahead and try to figure out where we're going to rough this in. So I have an idea about this, but to be completely honest, like I've said throughout, I'm still learning React. So if I get this wrong, I may not even publish this video, but hopefully I'm not wrong. So to start, what I'm going to do, or what I'm going to try to do, is pass in last trading date at this top level. So I'm up here in app.js, and to start, what I'm going to do is actually just hard code something. So 2020, what is the date? 0415. And I'm going to go ahead and paste this on each row. So we're going to save that, and it's going to trigger all the stuff that it's been doing. Okay, so what this is going to do for us is, over here in our stock row, now we have access to this props dot last trading date. So what I'm going to do is get yesterday's close. I'm going to change this, instead of data.date. So what's happening right now, and then this code is a little bit bunched up, so let me kind of move it out for now so that we can focus. Right now what's happening is we're calling get yesterday's close, and we're giving it the date of the current day, right? And so then what is happening, and I'm going to move this over here. So then what's happening is, when we call get yesterday's close, where is that here? We're giving it the current day, and it's got to go back, and it's got to get the previous day and then do the stuff that we want it to do, right? So what I'm actually going to do is, instead of passing in data.date, I'm going to pass in this props yes, or what was it called? Last trading date. So I'm going to go ahead and pass that in. And I'm going to save that, and then everything is going to break, probably. Did it break? Yes, it broke. Okay, cool. That's what we expected. So then what I'm going to do is, in here, I'm going to call this last trading date. And it's already formatted, so I don't even need to call this. So I'm going to comment this out, tab this back. And then instead of data 0.date, I'm just going to pass in last trading date. And let's see what happens here. So we're calling format date. Where are we calling that? So we're calling format date here. So I don't want to actually format the date, because it's already formatted, because I typed it in a formatted way. Today is not defined. So we're getting all of our so get last trading date. Wait a minute, I did not call that. Where am I at here? I called stock yesterday's close URL. Sorry, I'm commenting at the wrong thing here. So I don't want to call that, and I just want to pass in Actually, I'm going to rename that to that. Okay, so now we're getting something we don't want here, so what the heck is going on? Alright, so I'm going to move this. Since we only have this one little bitty column, I can just leave this all the way over here actually and leave my code wider, I suppose. That makes sense for the moment. So what I'm going to do is console.log. You guys can probably tell this is my best friend by this point in JavaScript anyway. So if we save that, what do we got? 2020-0415. So, okay, that's what we expect. So then, what are we getting back here for data? So we're calling yesterday's close URL. Let me actually console.log this really quick. Const URL equals this. Fetch the URL, so we're still good there. But I want to console.log the URL really fast just to make sure that we're, and I need a parenthesis there and not there. So let's log the URL out. Maybe. Okay, yeah, here we go. I'm going to copy this, copy link address. Let's just paste this somewhere. Yeah, I mean, that looks right. I think that is what we are trying to do. So why are we not getting... Oh, I got it. I did that wrong. So what we actually meant to do, or what I meant to do, you may have already done it right, is we should have had 14 right here. That's today's date. Okay. One of these days I will quit making dumb errors, but it ain't today. Okay, so now it works exactly how we would like, right? So we have our date coming in. We've commented out a couple of things here, and we're just directly getting the date. Okay, so the next thing I want to look at is what happens if we take away one of these. So if I save this, it's going to blow up and tell me it doesn't know how to get the close off of undefined. And the reason for that is because, so we'd call this get yesterday's close and then blah, blah, blah. Then we get down here into the callback and we call format price data, but there's no data, and so we basically get that it's trying to call methods on something that doesn't exist. So if you look at what we've done over here, we're basically setting that to an empty string. So I'm going to say if last trading date does not equal an empty string, okay, and I'm going to save this. And now it's going to go back to working, and it's just never going to print anything out here if it's not set. And to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and say, and last trading date does not equal undefined. Cool, so now it's all popping into place here. So now what I want to do, excuse me, is I'm actually not going to hard code any of these. And let's see, they're all just going to disappear essentially. Okay, that's good. So what I'm going to need to do is bump these guys into a new element, I think. So what I want to do is do something like import stock list from components stock list.js. That's going to break because that does not exist. New file, stock list. Then I'm just going to copy all of that, paste it. So we're going to do stock list, constructor, we don't care about the state right now, we don't need any of this junk. Okay, so then down here, we're going to do a stock list. Then what I'm going to do is actually import stock row from stock row. And actually, I don't need this dot components, right? Because I'm in the components directory. Let's see. So then what I need to do is actually just cut this and then render my stock list. So I'm going to save, and now it's going to break. So I'm going to now have everything back, right? Okay, so what I want to do here is say this dot state dot last trading date. Okay, so what we're going to do now is say that the last trading date for each of these stocks, because it's the same for all of them, right? Actually, I don't need quotes here. I need to do it like that. So the last trading date is last trading date. And we need to say this dot state. So you can see everything here comes in as we expect. It's giving me a couple of warnings because I'm importing this and not using it. I'm going to fix the logo one too. I'm importing a logo and not using it. Okay, so let's see. So first of all, let's go ahead and make this a single variable. Last trading date equals this dot state dot last trading date. And let's change all of those to just be the last trading date. Sorry, that's a bit tedious. Okay, so everything is still coming in. So now what happens if we set this to be our 2020, that, yeah. So if we save that, now you can see that we get data coming in. So let's keep it as null for now. And let's go ahead and use our, well actually we're going to need our stock.js again. So what we're going to do is set the actual date in here. So it's giving me another error because I did not use the double equals here. So I'm going to save that like that and see if that quits yelling at me. It got worse. I'm just going to leave it the way it was. Screw you guys. Okay. We'll figure that out later. So what we're going to do in our stock list is we're going to make use of this component did mount function here. So I'm going to use that on stock list. So once the stock list mounts, what we want to do is get the stock latest, get the last trading day. And in order to do that, you know, right now we're sending in this date from our actual stocks, but really we don't need to do that because we're always pulling in today's date. We're not actually doing anything with like a specific date. So let's go ahead and just like use the current day. So in JavaScript, if we do new date, it just gives us the current date time. So I'm going to copy this format date thing that we did earlier, and instead of passing in date, we're not going to pass it in. And I'm going to say var today equals new date with empty argument. And I'm going to change that to be const So we're not actually calling this anywhere yet, but now this should actually get us the date, the current date, right? And then get us the latest trading date just dynamically based on the current day. Sorry, so I'm just thinking through this. So now what I want to do is component did mount. I'm going to do stock.get latest, or get last trading date. And does that return a promise? Yeah, it returns a promise. So I can do dot then data, and we'll call set this dot set state, and actually I want curly braces here, and then I'm going to just say last trading date and then data dot date. So let's save that and see what happens here. So nothing happens. However, let's console.log and see what's going on. Let's just make sure we're actually getting some data coming back. So right there, you saw that pop in? So that is our latest or last trading date. So what should be happening here by my thinking is we're setting the state to this last trading date to be the date that comes back, which means that this will end up changing. And so I think what's going to happen is this is going to trigger an event on the stock row, which is component did update. So we're gonna try that. Component did update, and I'm just gonna console.log this dot props dot what did I call that? Last trading date. I don't know why that name isn't really sticking with me. Okay, so I've got that in there, but I want to make sure I check on one thing really quick. So data is an array, and this tripped me up earlier, so I'm going to make sure that that's there. So let's run this, and let's see what happens. Okay, so you see here that we're console logging 2020-04-14, so that's cool. Let's just do one thing really quick. I want to make sure that I'm looking at the right thing because I've got a lot of stuff logging out. So I've got update 2020-04-14. Okay, so what we want to do here in component did update is actually take this stock.get yesterday's close, just cut it. So in our applied data thing, first of all, let me look at what was going on there. How did I have that set up? So it was coming in just after the set state, so that's fine. We don't really need to worry about anything changing dramatically. So what we want to do in here is component did update. I'm going to paste that in here for this .props.last trading date. I think that's actually right? So I'm just going to run it exactly like that. And let's see what happens. Data is not defined. So what I can do is say this state price. Okay, so now I'm getting all kinds of errors in my JSON unexpected token Y. If I remember correctly, that's coming from the date not being formatted properly. And if you remember, now we're sending in the date with dashes in this get yesterday's close. So what I'm going to do here is just call format date. If we've got it, I don't want to say, I don't want to, let's see, just want to format it if we have it present, because I don't want to call format date on null. So inside of here, I'm just going to call it. So let's save that and see what happens. Format date is not defined. It's because I need to preface it with the name of the thing we're looking at here. Sweet. Okay, so we can go ahead and close all of that out. What are all these console logs coming from? Okay, I'm logging the URL. I feel like I'm calling that pretty, it seemed like I was calling that a lot. So log here. So I'm calling that a ton of times. So I'm going to burn through my requests really quickly like that because the API only allows a certain number of requests. So I don't actually want to be calling that so much. So what the crap? Okay, so in our stock row, and this component did update. This takes a couple of default arguments if you set them. So if we call prev props here, we can see what the props were before this ran. So I'm just going to log prev and then prev props, and let's see what that does. Okay, so the very first time we see Apple, it's got this last trading date of null. Let's see if we spot it again, or Tesla or whatever. So Tesla, it starts off null, and then the last trading date. So what I'm going to do here is say, sorry, over here, let me say that better. So the last trading date is null to start, and then the second time we see it, the last trading date is present. So I only want to get this, get yesterday's close if it was null, because I don't want to run this a gajillion times, and clearly React is triggering updates for other reasons to the component. So I'm just going to leverage the fact that it was null the first time and it gets set on the second time. So I'm going to say if prev props dot last trading date equals null, then we're going to bump this up into that. Okay, so if we save, not a dang thing happens. Let's see here. Maybe let's console log here. Oh, it's it's because I commented it all out. Nice. Okay. Because we're console logging here. So let's uncomment. Let's put the here in there. So let's just count how many times here gets called. So we only see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here's, which is exactly what we want, right? So we're logging out a ton of stuff. Let me kill some of these logs so that we can see this a little bit more easily. So let's not log the prev props. So we see here 5 times, and that matches the number of stocks we have, so that is exactly what we want. So these two videos have been a little bit of a long, winding road, but you can see now that these things are actually, if we refresh, coming in a little quicker. We're still not getting perfect data, and what you saw there is interesting, right? So the price actually popped in after, and so that's kind of interesting. The price came in second, and then this didn't work, or this is still saying minus 100% because it didn't have a price to start. So we need to rerun our calculations again afterwards. So there's a couple of quirks here. So we still have a few things to figure out to get this to load all in sequence. So I'm going to make some notes of that. We're probably also going to clean up the code a bit and then kind of finalize the design of this because this is still super basic. So we have some stuff left to do still, but we're getting really close to having all this working. Once this works, what we're going to do is add a chart section over here on the right. So we'll be able to click on each one of these and then pull up some graphs and stuff. So it's gonna get cool, but it's gonna take a little while. This is a little bit complicated, and it's the first time I've ever done anything serious with React. So I hope you're enjoying this, but that's it for this episode, and I will talk to you in the next one.